We welcome you into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We are coming to you from Quaker Steak and Lube here in State College, as we are accustomed to doing. St. Patrick's Day, of course, is coming up tomorrow, dear Goon.
Yes,
Can't think of a better place to celebrate than right here at the Quaker Steak and Lube in State College. Of course, also have all kinds of sports that you can be watching if you want to come down in person. If you're still a little uncomfortable doing the in-person thing, perfectly fine. You can get the curbside service here at Quaker Steak and Lube, or just get the food to go for your St. Patrick's Day celebration, or for what is shaping up to be a terrific sports weekend ahead with basketball, wrestling, hockey, and right on down the line. It is this fun time of the year. And certainly it's going to be more fun this year at this time of the year than it was a year ago, dear Goon, when we had nothing going on in the world of sports.
This is about the time we were just sitting here and we were watching the television and the flash came across.
Yeah.
Wow, it was about 51 weeks ago that happened. The ACC tournament had started. They played a half, or maybe in the Big East game. But I remember just watching it, and they said that they pulled them off the court.
Yep.
And I looked at you, and you go, "This isn't good, man." And then 1 week later, everything was completely shut down.
Yeah, I was pretty convinced at that point that we were still going to have an NCAA Wrestling Championships. We were talking about, I really thought at that point it was going to be without fans, which was going to be weird. And then, hours later, got the word that no, there's just not going to be a championship. So we'll talk about the
I'm ready.
upcoming NCAA Wrestling Championships a bit later. Do want to start with the big news coming out this week with Micah Shrewsberry's hiring for Penn State basketball. And listen, there was there's a bunch of different things that are on the table here, and I think you need to unpack them kind of separately. The fact is, and I think Sandy Barber and the administration had to know this too, right? That if you went with anybody other than Jim Ferry, it was likely, if not definitive, that you were going to lose a substantial portion of this team. Right? You can't ask them to go through a third basketball coach in 5 or 6 months here when they were perfectly happy with the coach they had and expect that, we're just with the transfer rules the way they are right now and everything else. So it is not surprising to me that we have the players entering the portal. I think 5. And forgive me, maybe there's been more. I have been running around like a chicken with its head cut off today. So
pretty hectic.
So if there's been more news since this morning, I am out of the loop, admittedly, and I apologize for that. But 5 guys anyway are in the transfer portal for Penn State. And, on one hand, and, it's good players, right? I mean, it's the substantial. I mean, Jamari Wheeler and Myron Jones and John Harrar, who I think we both had as our kind of MVP guy for this past season with all of the work he did. I mean, this is this is going to be a starting over process for Penn State basketball. And that was the concern. Now, if on the other side of that, 5 years from now, you're looking at a team that is back to where Pat Chambers had it, which was, on the break, I think, of, we'll never be able to prove it one way or the other, but I think they're on the break of, the NCAA tournament being more the norm than the exception, at least for, the foreseeable few years here, and that's anymore in college basketball. That is long term. 3 years is about the extent of anything that you can try to count on in college athletics. I don't, from what I've read about Micah Shrewsberry, I think it's a fine hiring. It's about what, it's not a terrific splash that, and I don't think that was likely or possible in the situation that Penn State's in. And really, again, there's probably 5 or 6 coaches in the entire country that you say if Penn State hires them, man, that is a game changer here for the program, right? In terms of the national perception right away. And again, Penn State was not going to attract any of those coaches. So Shrewsbury, again, from everything I'm reading about him, and I don't know him, I wouldn't know him from a hole in the wall until these reports. I just don't follow Purdue or Brad Stevens' career that closely. But there's certainly some good pedigree there. Seems like a good hire, but again, it feels like we're starting over with Penn State basketball.
No doubt.
And for a fan base that has felt like it's been starting over or on the cusp now you go from feeling like next year's team, right? It felt like if everybody was coming back and if it was Ferry or another good coach, Shrewsbury, but if you had this team coming back intact, it felt like a team that probably should be an NCAA tournament team next season. Now that would seem very unlikely. And again, we'll see what Shrewsbury does here in the short term and then build toward the long term. But it feels like, we're at least 2 or 3 years away again from Penn State being in contention like that is, again, what it feels like as we sit here today, less than 24 hours after the announcement of his hire.
Yeah, and I have no problem. I don't think you have a problem. I don't think anybody has a problem at hiring Micah Shrewsberry. I really don't. I think it's a very good hire in the long run. I really do. I think what I have an issue with and people have issues with is how it went down. And I think that our current players who have all since transfer portaled out of here feel as if they had no say or were completely left in the dark during this situation, but even more importantly, during the Pat Chambers situation. I think this was the second slap in the face that those players had taken, and I think that they said, you know what, I've had enough.
Yeah.
I'm okay with Micah Shrewsberry. I'm 100% behind him. I will support him as a Penn State alumnus and as a Penn State fan. I'll be a season ticket holder. I get it. I will do that again. But I just don't like how it was handled by Penn State University. And I'm pretty sure I speak for a lot of people in that, and not just this situation. Give me some talk on the last 1 year, the last 2 years, what's been going on here. Everything's been a little too tight-lipped and this and that, why stuff was moved around. And, we just talked about how we sat and watched the Big East tournament being canceled after halftime. Okay, 53 weeks ago, Penn State was sitting on what many people would consider their best season ever, one of their best teams ever, going to the NCAA tournament, and here we are now 54 weeks later. Now that we're just dropping numbers around because of the COVID thing, but here we are, 1 year, week 2 more, and it's a complete, it's an empty canvas right now. That's where these kids' heads are at right now. I cannot imagine. I guess I can imagine because we went through it in 2012 and 2011 and 2012 with the Joe going over to Bill O'Brien, Joe firing and then hiring of Bill O'Brien. So I guess we're semi-used to it a little bit, but just to have something going so well and then gone.
Here's my question as far as Shrewsbury and the program now moving forward is how do you see the recruiting? Because that is obviously for any program the key to success. And to me, the assistant hires here are going to be absolutely, argue that's the case with any coaching staff. But I really do think it's critical that he at least gets somebody in as one of the assistants who has deep, ideally Philadelphia roots, but at least Pennsylvania roots, because otherwise, with the departures here, it really does feel when we talk about starting over, and the argument, I suppose, that the other way could be, listen, Penn State's going to become more of a national player on the recruiting front. I have a hard time seeing that. Even if Shrewsbury has done a great job of making inroads in the Midwest with the programs out there that he's worked with, I just find it hard to believe that somebody in the Midwest is going to say, nah, forget Purdue. We'll see what happens with Indiana, but, forget Indiana, forget Michigan, forget Ohio State. I want to go to Penn State and play. Even if Shrewsbury is truly a dynamic coach and knows his basketball inside out, I just find it. And if I'm proven wrong, I'll be the first. I will eat my hat and proudly do so. And man, fantastic. Penn State is a national player. And look at this. The Nittany Lions are beating out North Carolina and Duke and Gonzaga for these top recruits. It's wonderful days here in Happy Valley. I think that is unlikely. And I think no matter how good of a coach and personality Shrewsbury is, I think it's going to be difficult for him to make the inroads that Penn State had established here or keep those established connections in Philadelphia, which I think, again, for long-term sustained success is absolutely vital to that program. And that's again, has nothing to do necessarily with Shrewsbury. I'm having a hard time seeing, and again, I'm certainly going to give the guy, I'm not sitting here telling you that he's got to do this tomorrow or forget it. I think he deserves at least 4 years here, and I'm a big believer in 5 years, but I just think, I think it is a pretty daunting challenge that he is going to face on the recruiting front here in Happy Valley, and again, it feels like starting the whole process kind of over here.
I have a different word for you, what he has to do with the Philadelphia thing, and that is he needs to fix that. There's definitely there's not going to be happiness, in my opinion, in that area because a lot of players talk, and they're going to be known that, hey, they don't listen to players up there at Penn State. You have no say in this. The administration runs everything, and you're just kept in the closet and then brought out to play basketball. That word will get around. And, we haven't had problems with players from the Philadelphia area. Pat recruited a lot of guys, 5 or 6 guys that are top 20, 25 players in Penn State history, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I hope that pipeline has not been broken. I really don't. And you said it earlier, you need to get a guy in here who has Pennsylvania ties, Penn State ties, specifically Philadelphia ties, Philadelphia South Jersey ties. And there's a name that comes to my mind with initials JC, and I don't mean Jesus Christ. And he may have played guard here at Penn State back in the day. So that's who I'm thinking might be the guy who would be a fantastic hire to fix what has gone wrong and to not lose that pipeline that we had coming in from Roman Catholic and down in the Philadelphia area. Because, as I said, they're the players. Now, you said something earlier about recruiting and stuff like that. So being a football player, aka a top recruit and all this stuff, I always thought about it. I played in Indianapolis with a guy named Scotty Slutzker from the University of Iowa and Casey Wigman from Iowa. 2 dudes from Iowa, great guys, played with the Colts together, but Slutzker was from North Jersey. And every time I drive on Interstate 80, I say, what in the hell? How in the hell did he get to Iowa? Because he takes Interstate 80 and obviously would come by Rutgers now. He would see Maryland in the distance, but he'd go right by Penn State University, right by Ohio State University, right through Michigan, Indiana, this and that, and then to go to all these schools. So what I'm trying to say is Micah's past is in the Midwest. To get a guy from Chicagoland area, okay, he's got to pass Illinois, Northwestern, Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, Ohio State, just to get to Penn State. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. It's going to be a tough thing to do. If that's what he's going to hang his hat on, it's going to be a very tough thing to do and have sustained stability.
And again, he may get, and hopefully he does get, a couple of kids. I just don't see Penn State as being, and again, I'd love to be proven wrong and be sitting here saying,
Indiana.
I just don't see, but just a national presence. I'm not even saying one area or the Midwest, but it just, again, I think you've got to do well in that Philadelphia area. It's you don't want to oversimplify it, but at the same time, again, I think if Penn State is to have sustained long-term success, that just has to be an area that they do extremely well in, and it was an area that they never have until Chambers got here consistently. And I guess the jury will be out here, and we'll see what happens. But it feels like another kick in the teeth to the fans of the program.
We're right back to where we were.
Yes, because it just is going to be to use the Chambers term, it's going to be a long climb once again. And when you've been climbing as long as they have, and you feel like you're just about there, and now you're kicked back, it's just I just think it's a big ask of the fans yet again. Although nothing new for those fans, I understand.
There is a difference in this climb, and that is called the transfer portal, where it's going to be a lot, and because. Remember, you have all these seniors who did not play last year around the country who can come to a place like Penn State, and we're going to test the coaches' recruiting abilities, and there's no doubt about that. But it's a little bit easier for him to get some JUCO guys in here, be competitive early, but he still needs to get the base, the foundation built, and the 3 or 4 years from now, where you're hopefully to the point where we want to be. Well,
and that's going to be the tricky part, I think, to navigate. Right, is you want to be competitive, and I don't even know what I mean by competitive, so I'll put the air quotes around it, because I really don't. I don't know. This fan base is not going to be satisfied, right, with a 5-win, I'm talking about in the Big Ten, 5-win season, but man, we were in a bunch of other games, right? It's been too long, too many years of that. So I don't even know, from keeping the fan base or getting the fan base to buy in, I just think this is a tough sell, I guess, at the end of the day. Because again, I just don't think, even with and you're right, it's a different world. Maybe they'll get a couple of big name kids in, and that's possible, right? I mean, because
to contain the
but you could even, but I mean, you could get. I mean, he could go out and if he's a great recruiter, and he could go out and get a couple of big name guys, and Penn State could be an NCAA tournament team next year, right? I mean, again, as we sit here right now, that would seem very unlikely with the history, but it's certainly possible.
2020 could pay off for us eventually, finally, with the transfer portal, and that is going out and finding guys like we have 4 of them right now who are guys who are seniors. Okay, John Herrar, that's our guy, the king of Delco. All right, he's a guy right there who's done. His career's over. He walked off the field with his cape, but yes. 2020 and the COVID-19, everything, he has 1 more year as well as the other guys do. So there's a guy, and how many of those guys are in this country? 1,000? I mean, he has a chance to repair this team quick, but you still have to get a foundation. You can't live on JUCOs and transfer portal guys. You can't make a living on that.
And see, and that's where I think this is just such an unusual circumstance to me for Penn State right now, because you are in an unenviable position if you're Shrewsbury coming in, because normally a new coach, especially at a program that has the history of Penn State, right, a new coach is going to be given a pretty wide latitude of, hey, let's build this thing. We're okay with a couple of years struggling if we think long term. I think because of what this fan base has been through over the decades, and then again just in this last year, I don't think he's getting the normal. It's almost, it's not going to be like a Duke or a North Carolina where you better win big right away. But I think it is going to be hard to get the fan base to buy in if you're not having some success. And again, I don't even know what I mean by that out of the gate. But if you are relying, right, if it's a team that is just built around JUCOs and transfers, it is then again hard to see how this will be sustained long term and how you can build it. So on one hand, I don't think you have I don't think you can afford to just, hey, give me a few years and see how it goes, because I just don't think people are going to be willing to wait very long here. And on the other hand, if you don't do that, right, as a fan base, I mean, we're going to be back in the same situation in a couple of years. Yep. And I don't know how many times. So yep. I don't know. It's just the ever frustrating state of Nittany Lion basketball.
Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I guess we'll just sit back and wait and see, because I don't even know. I mean, I don't know what advice folks would be rightfully giving to him in terms of how do you handle all of the open scholarships now, right? I mean, as you said, I mean, I think everybody knows, like, you've got to get some transfers and or JUCO players in. I mean, that has to be done, but you have got to be making inroads, and very quickly making it apparent that, listen, the recruiting for long-term success is here. I mean, within the next 2 years, you're going to have some big-time impact players, right? Freshmen, and then, redshirt freshmen, whatever, coming in to get the fan base Absolutely. To buy in. So again, we'll see. I really don't have any problem with the hire, and I'm not at all surprised by the players. And we'll see. I'm not sure we're done with the players entering the transfer portal before this is said and done.
I feel that they are not going.
This is true.
He still has the ability to come in and recruit them.
Yep.
And I think that this is I read a tweet from a local newspaper article guy today, and said the damage to this team was done 6 to 8 months ago. It wasn't done this past week.
Correct.
And it hasn't been rectified from 6 to 8 months ago. That's why I think players are upset. So what they did today and yesterday was it supported Pat, supported Jim Ferry, and it wasn't against Coach Micah, Shrewsberry. It's not against him whatsoever. I think it's against the athletic team.
Correct. Yep. I think from the players' standpoint, that is absolutely true.
Because they're not gone, because they're like every other Penn State athlete up here. Everybody who goes to Penn State, they love Penn State. I'm sure that they would want to be here. So,
a couple of other things just wanted to touch on. Penn State hockey. Man, oh man! I mean, I know, I know they didn't win the Big Ten, and that's what they needed to do to, I suspect, to get into the NCAA tournament. But if you are not excited about the future of Penn State hockey, based on what you've seen really all season long, but in the tournament with the win over Notre Dame and scoring the 4 straight to really put that one away, and then against the team that I think most would agree. I mean, I know they're the 1 seed, but I mean, I think they are the best team in the conference this year, and going to overtime and being right on the brink of winning that one. I really think this team, this program, the next couple of years is going to get over that hump, and I think they're going to be a Frozen Four team within the next 2 or 3 years. And it wouldn't shock me if it's next year. I mean, they are really, really close. And I think they closed the gap this season a little more quickly than you would have anticipated, given the youth on that squad.
They were supposed Frozen Four team last year. And again, we go back to the whole COVID. So they sort of got burned on it. Our basketball team got burned on it. The hockey team got burned on it. The lacrosse team got burned on it. But, they lost a lot of players after the last season. And you go into this season and, it's a rebuilding year. Well, no one wants to hear rebuilding year, in my opinion, especially Guy Godowski, because he had those guys ready to go. And
he did.
Guy just an unbelievable job coaching all season. A 34-day layoff between game and game, and those guys still go out there and beat Notre Dame, and they take the number 1 team, probably, one of the Frozen Four team, to overtime and have a chance to win it a couple times. And, man, what a game that was! But it hurt, man. That was very heartbreaking. And I know that Guy and his guys they're he's such a good man and a good person that he took that one to heart and he wanted that one. You know that for sure. And so did our guys.
Yeah, but I will say for me, and I'm not sure I'm a typical fan in this regard. That game reminded me of the Rose Bowl loss, where again it was just whoever it. And again, I'm speaking just for me because I don't know that even any of my close friends who are passionate Penn State fans are in the same boat here. Neither of those games felt. I'm not exactly sure how to phrase this. They didn't feel like a loss normally feels when you have a close loss, because to me they were both such epic performances and games, and it's like I just enjoyed having the opportunity to see it. I guess. Yes, I mean, did I want Penn State to win, and would I love to see Penn State in the tournament and all of that? Yes, and I wanted to see Penn State finish off that magical season with a Rose Bowl victory, but at the same time, I'm like, man, it took really special performances by really good teams in their own right to pull off the win. You know, hopefully, we'll see something reversed, but I think it could be similar for wrestling this year, where if Penn State goes out and if the wrestling team gets 4 in the finals and gets 7 on the podium and loses by 8 points to Iowa, right? I mean, it's going to be a loss. They'll finish second. Iowa will be the national champion and rightfully celebrating. But, man, it's going to feel like you just saw something special again from this Penn State program, and look out again for the future and better, hopefully bigger and better things to come just around the corner.
January 17 Rose Bowl hurt the most because we were up.
Yeah.
Big, and we were expected to win.
No doubt.
We're not supposed to win that game last night. We're not expected to win the national title in wrestling and stuff like that. But I think it hurt more, like you just said, the analogy with the wrestling. The guys wrestle out their butts and this and that. They're doing great. They're up on the podium. They're All-Americans. They're national champions, and they lose by 8 points. I mean, I think that would be like, because then it begins into, well, I could have done this more. Or this person could have done. You don't want that. But yesterday, that was a punch in the guts, because that, to use a hockey term, there was a double-edged sword when you have that 5-minute advantage. It's like the 2-minute advantage in the NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
The team that that kills that penalty just took the momentum. And here we go. We score a goal. We get a 5-minute major. We're up. We get another one. It's going to be a hard climb for them to come back, and we can't put the puck. We hardly put the puck on the net. During that 5-minute major, and from then on, it was like we were hanging on, and then we picked it up in overtime. I mean, there was a couple chances, and I was just like, I know it's been a while since the Flyers played in any kind of significant game, so I haven't had that feeling in a long time of every shot being able to go in, and that's what I felt like yesterday. That's how I ended that game. I was, and that hurt. So I had to do some research. Caulfield is not Jake Caulfield from the Penguins' son.
No,
I had to look it up, though. I had to look it up.
He is awfully darn good, though. Yes. I will tell you that. Man, he that's a pretty special college player right there.
So I said yesterday to some of my friends, I said, he's going to win the Hobie Baker Award, and my autocorrect said the Hobie Bacon Award. And I said, Hobie. And then somebody was like, what the hell are you talking about, Hobie Bacon? And I said, wow, autocorrect, but that would be a great name or a Honey Bacon Award. That would be the best thing for an offensive line. The best O-line in the league wins the Honey Bacon Award.
I think you and I should battle for the Honey Bacon Award is what I think should happen. I don't know what the contest would be,
now,
but that's my kind of award. I got to tell you, Honey Bacon,
the honey baked ham.
I love it,
baby. Yeah, yeah, baby.
Yeah, I think we need to further examine that possibility and see if we can make something happen.
The setup, because you're not used to it. I don't think the fans are of how they're doing that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure I really. Well, let's take a break here. I'm not sure I really understand the reasoning.
I got something on Ironhead
behind it, because I just. I'm not seeing how it's making anything any safer, and it's it's going to be pretty disruptive for the schedule. Not that that's the end of the world, but
you're doing twice as much work out there.
I think, well, not necessarily. It's just that it's going to be spaced out over a longer period of time. But we'll talk about it. And again, it's very likely I'm missing something, but I've talked to a few folks about it, and I'm not. I know it's being done in the name of safety. I'm genuinely not understanding how it's going to make anything safer ultimately.
I just thought of something, and you were right.
So. Well, we'll take a break here, and we will be back and talk about the NCAA Wrestling Championships, which got underway on Thursday in St. Louis. We'll talk about that as we continue with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show from Quaker Steak and Lube right after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickle's Tap Room, we say,
tell him Johnny sent you.
And remember,
we welcome you back in once again to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are once again together at Quaker Steak and Lube. I will not be here on Thursday, by the way. I will be in St. Louis with the call of the NCAA Wrestling Championships. Again, action will get underway 11 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday morning. And yeah, just if folks aren't aware, I suspect most wrestling fans are, but if you're not aware, they have changed up a bit the format here for the first three rounds of the championships. And so what they're going to do is that they'll have session 1A is what they're calling it. That'll start at 11 o'clock. They'll wrestle the first 5 weight classes, and then they'll take about an hour break and then empty out at least the floor of the facility, clean everything out, then start the second 5 weights. And they'll do that for each of the first 3 sessions, where they'll do 5 weight classes at a time, take a break, and then come in with the other 5 weight classes.
So is it going to be, what time will the 11 o'clock matches be over? How long do you think that will take?
What they're telling us is that they are expecting those to be over at around 1 o'clock. Hopefully a hair before is what they're hoping for, but around 1.
Huh. They're saying 2 hours to get through and then what I was told is the 8 mats. And again, I'm always the idiot wrestling fan who goes to Nationals every year. People get mad at me. So there's 8 matches.
Yep.
I heard down there only going to have 4 matches going. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when that's 125A. And then when 125B comes out, the next 4, they'll wrestle on the other 4 mats while they clean. And that's what I was told. That's why, because 5 matches shouldn't take 2 hours.
Well, except you have 17 bouts that are being contested at each weight class. So you have 33 kids. You have, I'm to be honest with you, I don't know that for sure. I don't think that's my understanding is that they're still using all 8 mats, but they'll go through, as they always do in that first round. You wrestle through, but you're basically, having 2 full sets of bouts on each mat.
So if I recall,
at each weight class, so you're still wrestling 10 bouts on those 8 mats
at each weight.
Correct.
Okay, so but then in years past, you'd start at 11 and be done by 2, all the weights, correct? Or was it?
It was usually 2:30. Yeah,
okay.
Right between 2:30 and 3.
So 4 hours.
So yeah. So
okay.
Again, it'll be. It's just going to spread things out a little bit. I'm just not sure, and I'm not necessarily against it. I'm genuinely not understanding how. Because I guess the thinking is I'm just playing it through in my mind. If the issue is, listen, we're trying to prevent, if we do get a COVID outbreak from it spreading too wide.
Yep.
I mean, is the scenario that you could have half of the weight classes not wrestle on Saturday, and is that going to be better or worse than not having? I mean, if
Ironhead just blew my mind,
yeah, I mean, if there's an outbreak on Thursday in particular, right, and they backtrack and it's like, oh my gosh, we have guys in these first 5 weight classes at each of the weights that are out, but boy, at least we have the final 5. I mean, right? Like that's not really. And if that's the contingency plan, and I don't know that it is. I mean, I'm not, but I'm just. Otherwise, what advantage is there to having this set up this way?
I got one better
because
for you,
ultimately, from the semifinals on in, we're back to the kind of the normal schedule. So the semifinals on Friday night, like we're just going to wrestle through the 10 weight classes. And so if there's an outbreak Friday night that they discover Saturday morning, then you're still, I don't know.
Ironhead, you're blowing people's minds right now.
Well, listen, I mean, these are much smarter people than I, presumably, that are working this out. So we're going to roll with it. I'm just not sure I'm completely following how this is going to help in terms of the potential breakout here, which, God willing, I mean, everybody is hoping, right, that there are no positive tests, and they're doing everything they can with the kids that are out there. Oh, I did get the answer too. We had the question last week on the extra wrestlers, and normally you go to the national tournament,
bring extra people,
and yeah, Penn State doesn't bring kids, but normally a large contingent of wrestlers will travel out on their own to get to the championship so that they can see it, but also to help as workout partners. None of that is being allowed. So it is only the 9 wrestlers, like nobody else is traveling even on their own. No. And so the wrestlers will be in their own relative bubble, and relative, I guess, there is the key term. They're not preventing anybody from having any contact with anybody outside of it. They're just strongly encouraging that, and so we'll see. I truly hope everything goes off without a hitch, as currently scheduled, and I think the matchups are pretty good for Penn State, given where we're at with each of the kids. I mean, I think it's as we talked about last week. I think the seeds are reasonable. I think the matchups are good, and I think there's a pathway. And I don't think it's a far-fetched pathway for all 9 of the kids that Penn State are taking. And I'm not predicting. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. I'm not saying all 9 are going to All-American, but I do think that there is a path for each of the 9 to get to be on the podium, and I don't think it's wild, crazy stuff. It would involve some upsets, and Joe Lee probably has the toughest path and is the longest shot to get on the podium here. But if he has a hot tournament, and he's certainly capable of doing that with the strength he has and the hips that he has. I mean, he's a guy that could pull a few upsets along the way. So. I'm just excited. I think it's going to be a fun tournament. Again, hopefully everything goes off without a hitch. And we'll see. Iowa's going to be very, very difficult to beat, but I think there are going to be a lot of really great matches. Even in the first round, there are some really intriguing matchups, but certainly from the quarterfinals on in, most of those weight classes are going to have some epic bouts.
Who's our guy who's a 10? Our 10th guy who's not going?
Bo Bartlett.
Bartlett. Okay, he is not even invited by the NCAA.
Correct. He will not. Correct. He will not be out there.
So you said to me the other day, or on the show, is that usually coaches will say, "Hey, listen, my guy ain't even to wrestle, so he's out." So is Bartlett still involved? What is the last possible moment? Because you're taking a lot of
I think as
a lot of onus on a head.
Yeah, I don't know when the exact. I'll find that out and I'll get that answer to you by next week's next Tuesday's show. I don't know if there is a specific if the field is officially finally set at what time. I really don't know what that is. But I think it would be by Wednesday night, or maybe even Wednesday afternoon with the seating, the final meetings. I guess it's not a seating meeting anymore, but the final run through with everything.
So so he gets called in, say Tuesday. There's another variable is what if a squad of 6 guys who they were contaminated or they were around somebody, so now they're out. Wouldn't you want to have more alternates there? And
you would,
yep. So if Bartlett goes in as an alternate, okay, he's a 7 seed, says I'm hurt, I'm out. Does everybody bump up and he goes in? Okay,
yeah.
So your matchup might
change.
You
would correct that could happen, and that has happened. At least it has happened before. Not often.
You're scouting. So the guys right now know their matches right now, so they have scouting reports.
Correct.
Guys, and that could change up to Wednesday night.
Yeah, I don't know when they. I'm going to have to double check. I think that is probably true. That cool. you would That's still have until at least some time on Wednesday to change if need be. If somebody gets hit by a car, something crazy happens, right? You can still call an alternate in.
I have a fantastic question for you, and it involves Ironhead doing some homework. It'll be you can do this on the plane.
Yeah.
And I want to do. I will read it on Wednesday. So say everything got blown up, half the people couldn't wrestle, and we're only going to have a national title holders and now people wrestling. So I guess whatever, throw everybody in a new hat. Say the 133 guys get done their match and they leave and there's a contamination, but they can still wrestle. I need you to wrestle. Need you to give me your top 10, not weight class, but overall wrestlers. Like, is Gable Stevenson the number one overall wrestler in this tournament? And it could be a 133 at number 2. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's interesting. We just had I just had a discussion with somebody about this where we were talking about and we do this every year, who's your from 10 to 1, the weight class that you're most confident who the champion will be before the tournament begins, which is different than what you're saying, because like when Bo Nickel and Miles Martin were wrestling each other, right? Nickel was, pound for pound, would have been one of the top guys wherever you had him. He'd be in the top 5 for sure with anybody. But Miles Martin would have been in the top 10, I think, in most people's lists. So that, Zahid Valencia and Mark Hall, same thing when they were going at it. So it is a different question when you're talking about, who is the best pound for pound wrestler. And it can be difficult sometimes because, again, Spencer Lee and Gable Stevenson have separated themselves so far from the rest of the field at their respective weights, but it doesn't necessarily mean, right? It could be that 125 after Spencer Lee, and it is loaded, but, it may not have as good of a pound for pound wrestler as another weight class where, like 41, to me, and I haven't sat down. I will take some time and do the homework assignment. But those 3 guys at 141, the top 3 seeds there are, in my mind, maybe all 3 would be pound and again, I haven't sat down and looked, so I reserve the right to change my mind about this, but I think all 3 would probably be in my list of top 10 pound-for-pound wrestlers in the country at that weight, meaning that they may not end up like they're going to win close matches.
Yes.
Nick Lee, to get to the championship, is likely going to win a couple of 1 or 2 point bouts to do it. Whereas again, Spencer Lee may pin his way through the tournament. Gable Stevenson may, at least major, bonus point his way through the tournament. And so, again, they will have separated themselves from the field greater, but does it necessarily mean that they are, the best wrestlers? Now, in Lee's and Stevenson's case, yes. I don't know exactly where I'd rank them, but they are 2 of the top 3 anyway, I think, probably overall wrestlers this year. What's that?
And could we get like a master's program? Like you win a national title, but then all 10 weight classes get in and get ranked, and then they have to wrestle each other. So we could have a Spencer Lee, Gable Stevenson match.
There you go.
What do you think?
I don't think that's a great idea.
Damn it.
Don't think it would be entertaining.
We'll call it Masters. All-American.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. There are some weight classes. And by the way, I've had a couple people reach out and ask, just so you know, if you are going to be tuning into the coverage, I will be covering as best I can and following as best I can the Hidley brothers, who are from just down the road here in Mifflin County, because obviously there is a large contingent of local folks that are interested in what they do. And we'll be doing that with all of the, Center County wrestlers and, again, local being Central Pennsylvania within an hour or so of here.
Yep.
Again, I may lose track of a guy here or there during their bout if we have a Penn State kid that's on at the same time.
Yeah.
But to the best of our ability, we'll call those matches as well when they are occurring this weekend.
The other thing
also.
is that the Lube, obviously, which we love, will have the volume on for all the matches, all sessions. I don't know if they're having drink and food specials or whatnot, but we can put that out there ASAP. But I do know that this will be the place. I mean, when you get ready to get wrestling and watching wrestling and, having gone the last 4 or 5 years to those tournaments, I'm going to miss it. So you want to be around some guys and some people who know wrestling and have some fun and listen to it loud and get loud and have some good food, beer, and wings. I think the Lube might be the place.
Yeah, I am really curious to see. I mean, I guess I got a taste of it with the Rec Hall, and then at the Jordan Center, especially with the Big Ten tournament, seeing an event with very few fans. And but boy, to have an NCAA championship tournament, which is usually packed. I mean, usually all the tickets are sold. First couple of rounds, it's not actually packed in terms of folks in the seats. But man, usually for the semifinals and the finals, I mean, it is absolutely packed for those events. And to see, it is going to be kind of a surreal feeling, I suspect, to see. And I don't know what it'll be, but less than 1,000 folks in the stands for those championship moments. It's definitely going to be a little strange.
I will say this, as a lifelong grew up watching basketball, watching football, going to basketball games, pro, college, and this and that. The wrestling tournament is pretty unbelievable. For the first hour, you're just like, oh my God, this constant motion, there's nothing stopping. Guys are running around, getting on mats, getting out, and then wrestling. And they're done, and they're bringing new guys out, and just amazing. I highly advise anybody who can go to a NCAA tournament. It's amazing, but I just can't believe it never stops. And I'm just like, okay, I'm interested to see how. Are they going to clean the mats? Are they going to wait for people? And people are going to, obviously, there's a much bigger delay in between matches.
Yeah.
There will be because of the cleaning of the mats and all that. So, looking forward to that. And I always thought, so say you're Missouri and 6 guys qualify. I don't know. I'm just saying names out there. So he has 12 tickets. That kid has 12 tickets. Their kids have 12 tickets. So that mom and dad have tickets to the whole event, or can they get rid of them? Because I'm looking for a little black market side action over here, maybe getting into those matches.
That's a good – I really don't know how that's working, if they have to show ID, for each session. I don't know how that is working.
Because there will only be 40 people in the stands in the finals.
My guess is that they are going to have either the photo ID or some way of trying to make sure, because they don't want, right? They don't want different people in. It's not even necessarily about whether or not it's the parents or who you said was going to use them. It's more we don't want to expand the bubble any more than is necessary or than has been agreed upon, and so you just don't want. I strongly suspect the NCAA is going to try to do everything they can to make sure that it is only the people that are that they are expecting to be in the venue that will be in the venue for the week.
Saturday night, you got 20 guys wrestling, 2 tickets apiece. It's only 40 people in the crowd.
Yeah, again, my guess is you've got to show ID that this is for each session. But I don't know that. We'll have to.
You don't have to get that information.
See how that goes.
Homework,
we'll see how that goes when we get out there, because it's strange. They just added and not that this is of any interest to anybody but me, but originally they were telling us you could only pick up the credentials on Thursday. They're not allowing anybody into the facility outside of the coaches and athletes ahead, which normally media and all kinds of people have access to the building the day before. That's usually when you have the credential pickup, and that's actually usually when I interview Kale after the coaches and athletes press conference. I usually snag him and get the rundown before the tournament and all of that. And so none of that is occurring this year, but they did put out a thing this morning to us that we will be able to pick up credentials at a hotel just down the street. I think it's 2 to 5 or something on Wednesday afternoon if we want to get the credentials ahead of time. So, they are making some adjustments here as they go along, and I suspect there'll be some more adjustments even as the tournament unfolds here. And again, just fingers crossed for everybody involved that this thing does go off without any problems.
You've been working. So did you see the announcement from the NCAA basketball tournament? 6 officials got sent home because one of them tested positive and they were all at dinner last night.
Is that right?
So now they got to get rid of them all, and you could just imagine the chaos and all this. Now they got to scramble and get 6 more guys in.
Yeah,
that's what I just don't understand, how they're not having any alternates there, being in the bubble just in case, because something may happen. So again, I know it's going to happen. I know it's going to go through. I hope and I pray that everything goes through without a glitch.
Yeah,
but I love how everybody's acting. They are acting and reacting on their own, and that's pretty good.
It is. Well, we will talk to you Tuesday.
Ironhead, I'll tell you that much right now. No wings for you if you don't get a natty.
I am hoping Penn State at least has a chance to celebrate some individual titles. It'd be nice to have 4 or 5 to celebrate. If that happens, I think we're going to have a lot of fun on next Tuesday's show. But
you ready for Thursday, buddy?
Chris Buchanani will be filling in for me on Thursday. I'll be back again next Tuesday. Until then, we hope all of you are good, and we hope all of you are safe.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
He's not getting that car in there.
No, sir.
Hey, look at these 2 troublemakers.
Johnny, how are you?
Wicked car. Is that new?
Yeah, it's a Sonata. Let me park it.
Oh, you're not fitting your car in there.
Chris, stop being a smarty pants, all right? Look who's got Smart Park. Even Bruiser can park it. Just hit the clicker. I can park it anywhere.
Beaver Stadium?
Parked it.
Even the Jordan Center?
Parked it.
Even Medlar Field?
Even Bruiser parked it.
Hey, you can't park there.
He's got smart pack.
Wicked smart.
Blaze Alexander Hyundai. It's wicked smart.